find yourself wondering about the difference between judgment and discernment? Do you know you need to be less judgmental, but finding it a hard way to start building a new habit? Well, today we're going to talk about how changing two simple words can make a really big difference. Let's consider that.
Hey, I'm Jennifer, a life coach certified by Tony Robbins, and you've found Consider Jennifer. My passion is to show you the power you have to live the life you deserve by taking the time to consider your life so that you can be on purpose with making it happen. Consider your life, be on purpose.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Jennifer Meyer, and you have found Consider Jennifer, the place we dig deep to consider our lives so we can be on purpose with living the lives we want. Today I want to talk about judgment. We're told all over the place that we shouldn't judge, not ourselves, not other people. And yet, every day we need to make decisions. And making a decision denotes that we need to form some sort of judgment or discernment, which is the word that I've been told to use in the past. And I've always struggled with the difference between the two of those words in practice. And I understand it logically, but actually in practice day to day, I could never really figure out how to get there. But I did find that changing just a few words has made a really big difference for me. And those two words are good and bad. In my second year of college, I took a course called The Good Life. It was a survey course, really, of philosophies and religions around the world. And the whole course was centered around trying to figure out what the good life was and what made a good life. What did a person need to do or think or believe in? And we all want to create a good life, right? Everyone wants a good life. We're trying very hard to avoid pain and suffering. The problem most of us run into is, like most things, how we define it. I mean, how the hell do you define good? What does that even mean? And the course was pretty clear that there really isn't a single definition. And that causes a little bit of a problem because that denotes that there's not one way to reach it. Then about 12 years ago, I started digging really deep into metaphysics and Gnostic faith. And it was about that time that I met my first real spiritual mentor, a woman named Beth Bockover. And she was amazing. She was wonderful. She had a spirit and a way of making me feel settled and at ease, at peace. These were things that I was trying really hard to figure out how to give to myself at the time. And she frequently spoke about the measuring stick we use to judge our lives. And she referenced that stick a lot and how we hold it up with our human understanding of good and bad and then judge our experience. Again, I really loved what she was saying, and I was completely lost about how to do that in practice. So the problem for me, and I think for most people, is that good and bad are loaded with personalization and really heavy emotions. Inevitably, we end up not just saying something is good or bad, but extending that judgment to the people or the situation itself. And that can really hurt us, especially if we're pushing those words onto ourselves. That is, by definition, the start of shame. And then about 2 years ago, it was a meeting at work, and someone provided a solution to a problem. And the two words that came up in that meeting stuck with me. And those two words were workable and sustainable. And I have found that using these two words in place of good and bad has made judgment less likely for me. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's start with workable. So you're on board with making decisions and choices for your life. You know you can't avoid it, and you know you don't want to judge everything. So replacing the word good with the word workable is a really great place to start. Why? Because when we hear the word workable, it doesn't immediately elicit a significant judgment call. It takes the heat and the urgency out of things. So what do I mean by workable? There's kind of two things. First, it implies that something can shift or change with effort, and that's really good for me because it reminds me and lets me know that I am actively participating in making my life what I want it to be. The second thing that it does is it lets me know that whatever I'm looking at can lead me to the result I want. For example, yelling during an argument is not workable, right? That behavior is not going to lead me to the result I want, a peaceful, loving life. Nor does it put me in a position where I can actively participate in creating the life that I want. I can't shift anything when I'm yelling at people. So yelling isn't workable. So we all know that yelling is bad, but when I use bad, it makes it easier for me to extend the judgment of bad, not to just yelling, but also to myself. So now I'm bad because I'm yelling. Workable doesn't do that for me. I don't personalize Workable. It's not me, so I'm able to show myself more self-compassion, and that conversely helps me yell less. So it's a win-win, right? I've also found that this word really helps me when I'm with other people, so I don't feel quite as guilty when I have to set a boundary. To say something isn't workable for you to someone else just takes the heat out of it. For example, I appreciate how you feel, but this just isn't workable for me. It just makes me feel more comfortable setting the boundary. Now, the other word is sustainable. I like this word because it helps me think about the future, and that's something that I'm actually not really good at. I'm a very in the moment, go with the flow sort of person, and I really love that about myself. However, if I'm not careful, that combination puts me in situations I'm not always counting on because I just didn't play out how things were naturally built on themselves. So, for example, if I don't nip a situation with someone who's pushing a small boundary or pushing a boundary in a small way, sometimes that can really backfire on me. So sustainable became a word I started using. And it's this the question I ask myself is this behavior or thought or pattern going to be okay in 5 days, in 5 weeks, in 5 years? And much like workable, sustainable just doesn't carry that heavy emotional, personalized attachment to it. So I and other people get less defensive and have more compassion with myself and with others. It's not bad that I had that extra helping of ice cream tonight, but it's definitely not sustainable. So it just makes it easier to be disciplined and effective. So, what about you? Do you ever think about how the words good and bad affect your day to day life? How often do you use them? And what do they mean for you? What might happen if you used a different word? Maybe one that didn't carry so much judgmental weight. I would really love to know your thoughts and experiences on this. I mean, we all know showing less judgment in the world, both to ourselves and to others, is a really good thing. Any way that we can figure out how to do that, I am all on board with. So please share your experiences with us as well. Thanks again so much for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate it. I hope that you are having a fantastic day and that this information was helpful for you. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. And don't forget, remember, consider your life, be on purpose. Bye.